niña, entonces pues oye, adelante, adelante, ahora hago yo. Pues mola, ¿no? Ahora mola. Antes me decías, no, quiero estudiar. Está por los 40 y algo, ¿no? No voy a decir mi edad porque creo que me dejáis hablar, ¿eh? Me dejáis hablar, ¿eh? Sí, ya he hecho muy. Yo quiero pensar que tengo la edad para que muchos de mis compañeros son más grandes. Los compañeros de la eso es muy verdad. ¿El qué es? Sí, disfruto. Contando esto, te aseguro que soy joven porque te enteré de joven. ¿Eres niño viejo? Bueno, eterna juventud. Vaya bien. Bueno, ahora no. ¡Pillo la broma! Oye, tú te lo ves. Vale. Ahora y el libro que yo escribí, a regalar ya con mi botella, que esta Navidad estaba muy contenta.
No se van a arrepentir. Y el buró es pura vida. Pura vida. Ya saben que es pura vida. El buró mueve porque da chance
¿Para qué? Bueno, claro, los dedos al revés. Pero no. Ah, no sé. Los centros, digamos que está
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Yes, a bit of silence, everybody finding their seats. Take a deep breath. The United Cities and Local Governments retreat starts now. That's when it is starting. Welcome, everyone. Yes. Now it feels like a celebration. Look, we started with a presidency meeting. It's always very serious business, you know, looking at the insights of the World Organization, looking at challenges, looking at solutions, looking at what we need to improve. But now the invitation that we have before you is have an open mind and let us think together what it means to actually act united for the future of humanity. That is what our plenary session would want to cover. This session is going to have different segments. We are going to have a more formal segment setting the scene with some very special speakers. Obviously, also our president will welcome you and give some initial remarks. And then we are going to present to you our forecast. It is a publication that you have on your tables where we touch upon some of the challenges and the issues, the trends that we need to consider for this year. And then we will go into an open floor discussion. An open floor in UCLG is like open floor, right? And so basically anyone can raise their hands and speak. I will encourage the elected officials that are with us for the beginning of the week to take their chance and intervene now, because I know some of them are not going to stay throughout the week. So I'm not going to say much more at this point. We will be framing the discussion a little bit later, but now it is my great pleasure to introduce to you the welcoming words from our United Cities and Local Governments President, the Mayor of Konya, Mayor Altay. Please, sir, the floor is yours.
Sayın katılımcılar, hükümet temsilcileri, başkanlık üyeleri, değerli meslektaşlarım, ortaklar ve arkadaşlar. Öncelikle hepinize bu yılın ilk buluşması olan UCLG yıllık istişare toplantısına hoş geldiniz demek istiyorum. Bugün yaratıcılık, tutku ve en önemlisi ağımızın birliğini gösteren bir haftanın başlangıcında bulunuyoruz. Bu toplantımızda güç ve umut dolu olsak da şu anda acı çeken birçok kişinin varlığını biliyor ve onların hayatın sonsuza dek değiştiğini görebiliyoruz. Paktımızı hayata geçirdikten bir yıl sonra dünya için çok önemli bir andayız. Daha iyi ve daha sürdürülebilir bir geleceğe katkıda bulunma isteğimizi her zamanki kadar güçlü bir şekilde sürdürüyoruz. Bizim gücü politikamızı odak noktamıza yerleştirerek bayrak taşıyıcılarımız şehirler ve bölgelerle birlikte sürdürülebilir kalkınma amaçlarını benimseyerek gelecekte SKA'ların yerelleşmesinin bir gerçeklik olduğu ve şehir, bölge ve toplulukların her düzeyde eylem merkezi olduğu bir geleceğe ulaşmayı öneriyoruz. 2024 küresel olarak çıkarları merkeze yerleştirmenin tam da zamanıdır. Yerel demokrasi ve yenilenen finans mekanizmaları ile vatandaşlarımız için daha iyi bir geleceği hayata geçirebiliriz. Teşkilatımız 2030 sonrası dünyaya ve daha parlak bir geleceğe odaklanan, yenilenmiş ve iddialı bir ortak gündem ile üzerine düşeni yapmaya hazırdır. Bu kararlılığımızı tüm istişare toplantılarımıza yansıtacağız. Bugün ağımızın önceliklerini istişare ederek haftayı açıyoruz. Barış, eşitlik ve yerelleşme haftanın ana konuları olacaktır. Dünya Teşkilatımızın da bu hafta boyunca temel çabası gelecek zirvesine yönelik stratejimize karar vermek ve bunu yansıtabilmek olacaktır. Gelecek zirvesi ve Birleşmiş Milletler Paktı'nın kabulü, çok taraflılığın geleceği için temel yapı taşlarıdır. Ancak halen olmamız gereken yerde değiliz. Gelecek Paktı'nın ilk taslağı, sürdürülebilir kalkınma amaçlarının yerelleştirilmesinde, gezegenin ve küresel ortak çıkarların korunmasında, yerel ve bölgesel hükümetlerin önemini ve bunların dönüştürücü diplomasisinin potansiyelini hala kabul etmemektedir. Mevcut haliyle evrensel kalkınma gündemlerine ancak herkesi bir araya getirebilirsek ulaşabiliriz. Gelecek zirvesi, dönüşüm ortakları olarak konumumuzu geri kazanmamız için yararlanmamız gereken bir fırsattır. Bu nedenle BM'nin ana politika oluşturma organları nezdinde yerel ve bölgesel yönetimlerin kendi varlığını özel, resmi ve kalıcı bir statüyle tanımlayabilmek için bir eylem çağrısı yayınladık. Yerel Yönetimler Ana Grubu ve Birleşmiş Milletler Genel Sekreteri, yerel ve bölgesel yönetimler danışma grubundaki temsilcilerimiz aracılığıyla Birleşmiş Milletler üye devletleriyle yapılan toplantılara aktif olarak katılıyoruz. Bu görüşmelerde temel siyasi aktörler olarak sesimizin duyulması, insanlar, gezegenler ve gelecek nesiller için alınan küresel kararlara yapısal bir şekilde katkıda bulunmamızı garanti altına almak için çabalıyoruz. Değerli dostlar, ulusal, bölgesel ve yerel seçimlerin tüm dünyada gerçekleştiği demokrasinin geleceği için çok önemli bir yıldayız ve bu yılın süper seçim yılı olarak anılmasının çok geçerli sebepleri vardır. Vatandaşlarımızın sandığa gelmesi liderler olarak bizim sınavımızdır. Ancak aynı zamanda yerel ve bölgesel hükümetler olarak toplumumuzdaki güveni yeniden inşa etmenin de gerekli olduğunu göstereceğimiz bir zamandır. Yalnızca yerel demokrasiye güvenerek şeffaflığı teşvik edebilir, topluluklarımız ve diğer aktörlerle karşılıklı ilişkilerimizi geliştirebiliriz. Yerel ve bölgesel hükümetlerin hizmet sunumu yoluyla getirdikleri özen, çok taraflılığın ayrılmaz bir parçasıdır ve eşitliği teşvik etmek için bakımın, yerel kamu hizmeti sunumunun gerekli olduğunu kabul etmek gerekir. Gerekli ekolojik dönüşümleri ve insan haklarının sürdürülebilir kalkınmanın merkezine yerleştirilmesinin önemini daima vurgulayacağız. Bu hafta boyunca kayıt dışılık gibi yıllardır bizimle olan trendlerden, yapay zeka gibi yeni çıkan trendlere kadar mevcut gelişmeleri analiz etme fırsatı bulacağız. Bunların yıl boyunca çalışmalarımızın bir parçası olmalarını sağlamak için çalışacağız. Mevcut ve gelecekteki nüfusun ihtiyaçlarını merkeze yerleştirmek ve temelden zirveye barışı tesis etmek için çalışacağız. Uluslararası eylemlerimizi güçlendirmek için hayati bir fonksiyonu ortaklarımızın buraya katılımını bir kez daha teşekkür ederek konuşmamı sonlandırırken, yerelleştirme meşalesini birlikte taşıdığımız ve küresel gündemleri hayata geçirmede yerel ve bölgesel yönetimlerin rolünü her zaman öne çıkaran Birleşmiş Milletler Habitat eski icra direktörü Maymune Monti Şerif'in online'da olsa burada bizimle olmasından duyduğum memnuniyeti ifade etmek istiyorum. Çabalarınız için bir kez daha teşekkür ediyorum Maymune Hanım. Şahsınız bir belediye başkanı daima belediye başkanıdır ifadesinin hayat bulmuş halidir. Siz daima hareketimizin bir dostu ve müttefikiydiniz. Öylesiniz ve her zaman öyle kalacaksınız. Bu nedenle size UCLG Fahri üyeliğine hoş geldiniz demek istiyorum. Sevgili dostlar, değerli meslektaşlarım, bu hafta yeni birçok taraflılığın parçası olmak amacıyla bu yılki ilk adımımızı atıyoruz. Teşkilatımızın bünyesindeki bizin gücü, evrensel kalkınma gündemlerinin gereklerini yerine getirme gücümüzdür. sürdürülebilir kalkınmanın yenilenmiş bir tanımının nasıl sunulacağı konusunda küresel istişarenin bir parçası olmaya hazırız. Katılımınız için hepinizi saygıyla selamlıyor, teşekkür ediyorum.
Thank you very much, President, for those welcoming remarks where you have reminded us of the important link that there is in the work of United Cities and local governments between the action at local level and also the action at global level. And it is that seat at the table, that seat at the global table that we are claiming will become even more important if we want to answer to the challenges that we acknowledge we have as humankind, as humanity in general. I think it will be very useful to help us frame this question, to watch the recorded message that Undersecretary General of the United Nations for Policy, Guy Ryder, who is also in charge of following the work of the advisory group on local and regional governments. It will be great to hear his message to help us frame the conversation that we are going to continue to have among ourselves. As you know, the advisory group on local and regional governments is considered one very, very critical cornerstone of that future seat at the global table. It is not it. It is not what we want to achieve, but it's a very, very important step towards that. I am very, very pleased also to acknowledge the presence here with us today and tomorrow of many of the advisory group members of local and regional governments that are part of the group and most of the Sherpas. So we have a big representation and we hope to dedicate time to the discussion of the work of the group there. Obviously, chaired by our co-president Fatimetu Abdel Malik. Let us watch that video, team, if we are ready.
Distinguished members of United Cities and Local Governments, UCLG, dear friends, greetings from New York. I'm grateful for the opportunity to send a message to this year's UCLG retreat on the need to act for the future of humanity and the power that unites us. And this year's theme highlights the critical need to secure a renewed multilateral system that delivers for all. Globally, we remain deeply challenged by multiple crises, the triple planetary emergency, escalating wars and conflicts, the persistent cost of living crisis, growing inequalities, social unrest, and mounting fiscal constraints, combined with pressures of high debt. And the ripple effects cascading national governments to regional and local levels have sent shockwaves across our societies. Failure to meet basic needs to provide quality social services and to safeguard livelihoods have hit the local level the hardest. And this has brought more uncertainty, more anxiety, and in some cases despair. We are at a dangerous moment of loss of faith in public institutions and in political processes. Dear friends, the path ahead must be to restore hope and to restore trust. It must nurture a collective force for the benefit and the well-being of people and planet, with the backing of different spheres and levels of government. Reshaping multilateralism requires a shared vision and a broad consensus to strengthen multi-level, multi-stakeholder and cross-sectoral governance, connecting local action to the global agenda and vice versa. And this September in New York, the United Nations will convene a summit of the future. And the task for member states is clear: to find multilateral solutions to some of our biggest challenges, securing a more just and effective global financial system, delivering more effective responses to today's and to tomorrow's peace and security challenges, putting technology at the service of humanity, securing the rights and the interests of future generations, and ensuring that multilateral governance mechanisms reflect the realities of today's world and operates effectively. The Summit of the Future also presents a critical opportunity to increase the collaboration between local and regional governments and the multilateral system, and to demonstrate how multi-level, networked and inclusive governance can really deliver impact. Last October, the United Nations Secretary-General launched his advisory group on local and regional governments to make recommendations on how the multilateralism of the future can be shaped by opening spaces for your constituencies. The Secretary-General's reason for launching the group was very simple. Local leaders are vital for global solutions. You are an essential link in the chain of ownership and of trust between multilateral institutions and the people that we all serve. And as we consider ways to make multilateral institutions more effective and to meet the current and future challenges facing people and planet, we need the perspectives and the engagement of local and regional authorities. Hence the convening of this advisory group. And the group's advice can also help to fuel the efforts of the local 2030 coalition, the UN-supported network for delivering the Sustainable Development Goals at the local level. And I'm pleased to note that several members of the advisory group are joining this year's UCLG retreat, and they can share further reflections on how to enhance the relationship between the United Nations and local and regional governments. And while the advisory group has a time-bound mandate, the work it has produced thus far has already informed the summit process and the zero draft of the Pact for the Future that will be adopted at the summit. On the 21st of February, the co-facilitators of the Pact for the Future will hold a briefing with non-state actors, offering an opportunity to bring the voices of local actors and their communities into this global conversation. Your dialogue with the co-facilitators and with national governments reinforces the role of multi-level partnerships based on a shared commitment, cooperation and responsibility. And this journey will continue beyond the Summit of the Future with other critical stepping stones to leverage the local and urban agendas into the Financing for Development Conference and the World Social Summit on Sustainable Development, both of which will be held in 2025. Dear friends, today we need you more than ever as a link between local actions and urgent global priorities. Revitalized multilateralism that is effective, inclusive and networked must be closer to the people that we serve. And we know that the challenges we face are interlinked, and so must be our response. So I wish you luck, and I thank you.
Well, a very powerful message from the Undersecretary General, very meaningful message for us all working on local multilateralism, as we call it. And if there is anyone that believes in local multilateralism and any champion that has supported us in every single way she could, being one of our own, once a mayor, always a mayor, through a very, very special period of UN Habitat, having to implement the agreed new urban agenda, but also facing the kind of changing world that we have acknowledged already today through our discussions, and that I am sure we will address today. Well, that is Maimouna Mohd Sharif. Our presidency meeting has agreed to grant Ms. Maimouna Mohd Sharif the status of honorary member of our World Organization. Congratulations, Maimouna. We don't do this easily, dear sister. We are very, very happy that you are joining us. I know that you are moving, that you are literally in between boxes. So we're very happy that you are with us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Emilia. A very good evening from Nairobi to Mr. President and all friends of UCLG. I'm very, very honored to be able to accept the very high honor of being conferred the honorary member by the UCLG. Friends, if you ask me, in 1985, when I graduated as a town planner from the University of Wales in Cardiff, if the day would come when I would be an honorary member of UCLG, I would definitely smile broadly and not believe it would ever happen to me. Even getting to Cardiff itself seemed like a miracle, as I never had the opportunity to sleep long enough to dream. Instead, having to wake up at 4 a.m. to help my mother tap rubber in my village in West Malaysia. There were too few opportunities for women beyond getting married and keeping a household in our rural living. Never pretty enough or well dressed enough to be the school bouquet girl. And I decided long ago to be the recipient of many book prize, a champion of sporting event, and as an Undersecretary General and Executive Director of UN Habitat and Human Settlement Program from 2018 to January 2024, as you know, and to be now a fellow of the UCLG. Indeed, urbanization present many opportunities for my generation at that time. Mr. President and colleagues, throughout my career as a town planner, mayor, as you said, mayor is always a mayor at heart, and at the United Nations, I never forgot the key principle in good town planning. It is easy to get carried away by drawing lines and determining how people live and interact. But we must never play God by changing fortune through a stroke of the pen. Instead, we have to be broad-minded enough to take into account the local context. The best laid plan, as you all know, become reality when there is adequate and informed participation from local communities and the local government. I have advocated, and we must think local and act global. People used to say, think global, act local. I flip it, think local, act global. Global. Today, after 2,000 bilateral meetings, having traveled to more than 55 countries in all regions of the world, and through UN Habitat's active project in more than 600 cities globally, I call upon all of us in the planning fraternity and to think local, act global. When you learn global, don't forget to apply local. Sometimes we learn, but we forget to apply locally when we go back to our cities. What looks nice on the plan might not be what is the local community needs. The best public open spaces, the best housing scheme, the best laid basic services and transport plans are the ones where there is an active participation by the people we serve at the local levels. I'm particularly proud of UN Habitat people process and track record in public engagement. Before you draw the first line, you must establish key principles together with the people that we serve. They must involve to determine what is the end result, what is the impact to the purchaser and the local government, and the mayors have to do that. And the local communities, we must do no harm. Here, UCLG continues to have great relevance, and we hope to UCLG to help fill the capacity gap. In some countries, there are only one planner to 150,000 people. There are a lot of things we can do together. We hope, and I hope, that UCLG will work together with the local government to building program tangible project that can be implemented when spatial planning is linked to economic and environmental planning. And at the same time, we need to use the best principle of planning to take into account the externalities to people and communities. We must be brave enough to lose work by converting our what we believe the principles of sustainable development goals. This can be embracing technology to be more effective and efficient as we are in the urban crisis of 4 Cs. I used to say post-COVID. I hope we are in post-COVID now. Climate change, capacity, and urban crisis. And at the same time, by embracing technology and indeed by new ways of thinking about planning aids by artificial intelligence, but keeping to the principle of people, smart cities. And I think this is important. As a former mayor, as I have working together with UCLG, I always put local government and people at the center. Also as a former ED of UN Habitat from 2018 to 2024, I always champion cities. You can ask Amelia. We are very naughty at that time. We said, listen to cities when we stand outside the General Assembly. And we know that 64% of the SDGs target are to be achieved in cities. Cities are the docking station for all SDGs, as 70% of the global population in 2050 will live in cities. The future is urban. So we managed to establish Local 2030 Coalition, the Secretary General Advisory Group for Local and Regional Government. Please use this platform to promote local action. I'm ready to continue with our collaboration beyond UN, and I hope you already received my 6 years report card titled Building Bridges from 2018 to 2023. And at the same time, to end this short acceptance by thanking the President for the honor to be the honorary member of UCLG, which I gladly accept. And if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, let's do it together. Please keep in touch. You have my new email and my number. And thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you, Amelia. And thank you, friends who are there. And I can see you on the screen. I wish I would be there together with you. Thank you.
I wish you would have been here, dear sister, to hear this applause, which is in fact a hug. If you would have been here, it would have been a very, very strong hug. Thank you for your commitment, for the work that you have done. We will continue talking about you and with you in the coming days, I am sure, also within the framework of the Global Task Force of Local and Regional Governments that you have championed. As you know, we are meeting tomorrow for the annual meeting. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and now I would like to give the floor to Nina Hutchinson. She is the United States Special Representative for City and State Diplomacy. It is such a pleasure, Nina, to have you with us in person this time, because last year when you were just appointed to this very important post from our perspective, because the name says it all already, you also joined this retreat online. We are thrilled to have you with us, and we look forward to further collaboration. A few words from your perspective on this seat at the global table.
Thank you so much, Amelia. I am so grateful and very honored to be here in person in Barcelona for the first time, in your hometown, which I don't know how much time you actually ever spend here, but it's really good to be here. And with my favorite people, mayors. I'm thrilled to be among you. I'm a fan of mayors because only very brave and optimistic people would ever take on such a difficult job. So thank you. Thank you very much for making your residents' lives better every day. So my name is Nina Hutchinson, and as Amelia said, I'm the first ever special representative for city and state diplomacy in the U.S. State Department. My team serves as a resource to mayors, governors, county officials, town leaders, and more. And we elevate their roles, their voices, and their vision on the global stage. As everyone in this room knows, when local leaders are internationally engaged, we are quicker to find effective ideas and practices that can resolve the global issues that we all face. As Secretary of State Blinken said in January when he spoke to the U.S. Conference of Mayors for the second time, he said, "I'm convinced from all my time I've spent traveling around the world that for any given problem somewhere, someone probably has the answer, or at least the beginning of an answer. And more often than not, it's actually happening in a city. It's happening with a mayor, because you are all problem solvers." And that goes for all of you. My role helps local leaders, but it also helps the United States, because local leaders are directly engaged with and finding solutions to the global threats that we face. What we aim to do is reveal the importance of local diplomacy. Most cities in the United States have not had a long or strong tradition of international engagement. However, my office is a sign that this is changing, and my team and I talk to mayors and governors and others every day who want to be involved. This new team and role have allowed the United States to do some things that we haven't ever done before. For example, we've hosted the City Summit of the Americas, the first time the State Department has ever hosted a city summit, with nearly 300 mayors from the Western Hemisphere. Some of you were there, and thousands of people tackling topics like economic development and renewable energy. We had the smart idea of inviting all the major city networks to help us create the content, and that of course included UCLG. And with over 100 sessions, everybody learned something, including the federal officials who were there. We launched a program on peer-to-peer solving urban challenges, mitigating air, water, and plastic pollution, and improving the health and welfare of underserved communities. That was a large convening, but we do small ones also. Last month, we organized a roundtable on illicit synthetic drugs, including fentanyl, which is a huge problem in the United States. We brought together a group of diverse mayors who are working on this challenge in their cities with the assistant secretary from the State Department who handles the international aspects of this problem. The mayors were really interested to hear about the conversation that President Biden and President Xi had to stop the precursor ingredients. And the assistant secretary wanted to hear about the local innovations that these mayors were using in their hometowns so he could share them with the 140 countries that are part of this coalition. We also joined forces in new ways. In this last COP in Dubai a few months ago, there was an amazing representation of local leaders, many of you, and many cities from the United States in the blue zone for the first time, and hopefully not the last. And in 2023, the US and China also welcomed subnational climate action, as noted in the Sunnylands Summit statement. Our local leaders are eager to join international fora, to learn practical ideas, new economic opportunities, and to highlight shared values. Some of the strongest ideals in my country begin at the local level and can only be realized when local government is delivering for the people. Mayors are the stewards not just of services, but also of values like pluralism and transparency and accountability, equality and justice, defending the rule of law, fighting corruption, empowering our citizens, standing for gender and racial equity and the rights of LGBTQI+ persons and those of religious and ethnic minorities. We can't live by those values unless people experience them in their cities, in their daily lives. It is sad to say that some cities who want to preserve these rights face an existential threat. Cities are deeply threatened today in Ukraine. I was just with Mayor Klitschko in Munich, whose city is under attack from Russia's invasion. Thankfully, countless cities here and states have sent support to the Ukrainian people as they fight to preserve their sovereignty and their democracy. We've seen new partnerships grow between U.S. and Ukrainian cities. Most of all, we thank the cities of Europe and elsewhere for all that you have done for the millions of Ukrainian refugees. This was a great moment of unity in a time of great need. These days, our cities, like some of yours, are wrestling with another geopolitical event and are working to heal the polarization in communities that has come from Hamas's attack on October 7th and Israel's military response. This is very difficult work that continues. Local governments are politically independent in the United States, and we know that decentralization of authority is important for cities to function. It's related to what you are seeking from the UN, some real power. Mayors know their communities best, and we honor their independence. That's why my team never tells mayors or any local official what to do. Rather, we offer information, and it's for them to decide the best course for their own residents. This system is not always easy. Different levels of government have disagreements with one another, but in a big, diverse country like ours, this is to be expected, and it means that communities feel that their government is working for them. Our democracy is not perfect, but we are working to improve it every day, and local leaders have a huge role to play in that. I want to end by telling you that I personally agree with your unified goal to see a bigger role for cities in the UN system of the future. I know that cities will make an enormous contribution, and it cannot be done, this global work, without you. And I hope that in the future, what the pact calls for, sustainability, innovation, economic opportunity, peace and security, and the direct funding to realize those goals, comes to pass, and that cities are in a central driving seat. I hope in the future you will be able to welcome American mayors amongst your numbers here at UCLG to join you in forging the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. We will certainly need all the support that we can get to make that call that we are making, that call to action to define a special, formal, and permanent status for the self-organized constituency of local and regional governments before the multilateral system, and in particular of the United Nations. And there are many ways to start this, but I think this structural dialogue that we are having is extremely meaningful. Thank you very much for being with us today, but also the day-to-day work that we are doing among offices. Let me now go to another very relevant partner of, I would say, United Cities and local governments, but of the local and regional government organized constituency in general. A lot of what we are today as a movement, we wouldn't be able to be without the steadfast support of the European Commission. Europe has only not fulfilled the dreams of Europeans of becoming one and single Europe, but it has also created the notion of cohesion, solidarity, and strengthening local democracy. It has brought this to new horizons. And we are extremely happy to have with us Marlene Holzner, the head of Unit G2 for local authorities and civil society of the European Commission. Marlene, it's a pleasure to say hello to you again. Sorry you couldn't be with us in person, but welcome online. The floor is yours.
Yes, Emilia, thank you so much. I'm happy to be with you online, as I would say, an oldie among you, because indeed the European Commission has for many, many years now had a very close partnership with UCLG on many different issues. And if I see that there is a huge interest and a huge work, you do via the United Nations, and also now with the US, I think it's also part of our support to you that, you can work on all these different levels in addition to what you do with us on a daily basis and also long term. The second point I want to make is that the topic that you discussed today, from our point of view and from my own personal point of view, it's a very good one. It's a very interesting one, because the European Union, the European Commission, has also asked how to position and how reposition itself in this new international setting that was very well described before: multiple crises, also the weakening of the multilateralism. And I would also add, in our European context, that the financial budgets of the member states, they are tight. And with a view of what happens worldwide, we also know that we have to step up defense budgets, security budgets, and this means that at the end of the day, development aid as such will become under pressure. Knowing that with what we will have, with what we have now, even if we work together very well with all our like-minded partners, the tools, the money we have will not be sufficient to meet all the demands. And it's precisely because of that we started already a little bit rethinking our development aid and what you have on your agenda as what is sustainable development and what can we do. And our first step in this direction is what is called our Global Gateway Strategy. The word is global. You're here representing local authorities, mayors, gathering in your global association. And I would like just to share with you how I see that this aim of doing, more with more impact, big projects, is aligned with the local level and with local authorities. Because if you look at it from the real title, then you think, oh my goodness, the European Commission is now doing big projects and that's it. Where's the local level? Yet this is a little bit short-sighted in a sense that what we would like to do, yes, concentrating, working with financial institutions, with development banks, bundle all our resources together with the member states, and making also priorities. Yet the main difference between the European Union and other actors which are there out is that we say we want, and the aim is always the same since decades now, we want to help, and it should be for the benefit of the local people, the local communities, local authorities, people there. And that means for us, and that means for my unit, that of course, before engaging in these huge projects, there is a dialogue with the local authorities, because they are there who know best the interest, the needs of the local population, and also we talk with the civil society. One example is we have last year, and UCLG is one of the members, established a new platform of consultation, because we want not only to talk and make nice words, we want to meet what we say. We want to meet that we say this is for the benefit. So there is a consultation with local authority, civil society here in Brussels. And at the same time, we will have pilots in different countries, again, local authorities and civil society. And this is all in addition to what we have already, the dialogues happening in our offices in more than 100 countries around the world. And I think there it is where what you have said, the local level, the global level, how it comes together, that is how we do it. How we want to meet the two is first by the consultation, And then, of course, also in the implementation. Because when we do e-buses in Nairobi, when we do trams or metros collecting or going from one city to the other, can we do that without the cities, the local authorities involved? We cannot. And the final example I want to make is when we discuss, big corridors linking up different cities and different countries, it is not only the road we are interested in. It is to get economic development in this region via this corridor and development with the local authorities and the local communities. So the help which gets in addition to the local communities, that makes a whole 360-degree project for the benefit of the local communities. So this is the benchmark we have set for our global strategy. And I think it really integrates very nicely in your agenda today. And I do wish you a really good conversation, discussion today. Have a very fruitful one, coming out with a lot of good ideas for the future. Thank you so much for having invited me, and it was really a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you very much, Marlene, and all the networks of local and regional governments that are benefiting from our strategic partnership. Some of them certainly here today, CMR, CLGF, UCLGA, and representatives of IMF. All of us are very well aware of how significant this support is. It's not only a financial support, which is extremely relevant, but it is a very, very important strategic support that allows us to shift and change the conversation with the international community, but also at national and regional level. So we look forward to continue with that. And that leads me to another very important process that is taking place this year, and another very important actor in the international arena. Brazil is playing a very important role currently in international dialogues, in international relations, and we of course are very much aware that Brazil will be the host of the G20, and so also of the Urban 20 that we co-facilitate together with C40. When we talk among ourselves, we usually say Brazil is back, right? Brazil is back. Our membership in Brazil is very active again. But we particularly have a very strong interlocutor currently for our discussions at the United Nations and in other processes. So I'm very happy to have with us Antonio da Costa e Silva, the Chief International Advisor of the Office of the Minister of the Ministry of Cities in Brazil. Antonio, you were almost here with us and you had to cancel last minute, but it's still very happy that you can join us online. Bienvenido. Adelante.
Muchas gracias, Emilia. Muchas gracias, merci, thank you. I'll speak in English, maybe I think is what most of you follow. I'm very happy to join you. It is unfortunately online, and the reason, as I told Emilia, is because work related to G20 held me here in Brasilia and did not allow me to travel to Barcelona as I wanted to. But yes, I'm very happy that you invited me. It is for us extremely important to participate in this dialogue. Not only Brazil is back, the Ministry of Cities is back. And this is one major development in the President Lula's government, the recreation of the Ministry of Cities, a minister dedicated to local government, dedicated to local urban development, metropolitan development, sanitation, urban mobility, and now also dedicated to discussing slums and marginalized communities in our urban environments. Allow me to, I was listening to the previous speakers, and therefore there's very little that I could add, apart from the Brazilian kind of perspective on some of these issues. For Brazil, urban is present. About 85% or more of our population lives in cities. Latin America and the Caribbean is a highly urbanized region, as you know, and Brazil is no exception. Actually, I think it leads the process of urbanization. And we are convinced, and I think my minister spoke on this at the high level political, at the UN General Assembly, the action weekend that preceded the last UNGA opening, on the idea that there is no urban justice without local justice. There is no sustainable development without urban sustainability. There is no resilience without urban resilience. There is no human rights without the right to the city. So all of this is interconnected. Cities for us are central in the development debate. And therefore we are pursuing a number of policies trying to link both our priorities at the local level, at our cities, for our cities, with the international dialogue. We hope that in this G20 presidency, apart from the work that we're doing in a couple of working groups related to urban issues, on the working group on development, we are tackling sanitation and water access. We are hoping also to tackle all the issues related to urban resilience in the working group on disaster prevention and risk prevention. We are also hoping to engage fully with the urban 20 organizers, the cities of Rio and São Paulo, to see in which ways we can help them make sure that the voices of urban 20 are clearly listened and taken on board at the summit of the G20 leaders. So for us, the action at the local level and the action at the international level are fully intertwined. And we work to make sure that what we are trying to do at the local level through our national policies with the cities, engaging our cities, also relates to international agendas. The examples will be multiple. Let me assure you, and Emilia knows that you have in the Brazilian government, and particularly in the Ministry of Cities, a partner for UCLG, a partner for all local organizations. We have a strong belief that we need to make the local voices heard at all arenas. The national arena for sure for us, but also the international arena. We are convinced that the power that we can muster is a power for good, it's a power for development, it's a power for peace, it's a power for resilience, it's a power for sustainability. And therefore, you can be sure that we are listening, we are paying attention, and will be willing to work with you fully. Thank you very much.
But thank you very much, Antonio. We are very, very aware of how relevant these partnerships with national governments are. We cannot do our work and convince the international community of the relevant role that local and regional governments play if we don't go into dialogue with these national governments. And these are just a few examples of the structural dialogues that we are having. It is impossible also to think that we will have the kind of reformed multilateral system without having different stakeholders playing stronger roles. And the seat at the table that local and regional governments are claiming for themselves are very much part of the seat of communities. So I'm also very happy to acknowledge all of those partners of civil society that are accompanying us today and throughout the week. And we will be exchanging with them on the coalitions that we are shaping to move our collective agenda forward and to make the pact for the future feasible. In that sense and in that trend, I'm very happy to go back to this issue around the Pact for the Future and the work that we are doing with the advisory group. And Michelle Griffin, the director of our Common Agenda team in the Executive Office of the Secretary General of the United Nations, is with us to share that vision that the Executive Office is supporting. Michelle, thank you for joining us. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone can hear me well. I wish I could. Okay, great. I wish I could be there in person, sending greetings from a chilly New York. You all heard Guy Ryder earlier, and I want to just maybe take a moment to build on his remarks, share a little bit more with you about the vision in the Common Agenda report that has kind of led to the Summit of the Future, which is now a mere 7 months away, and share with you a little bit about the state of preparations for the summit and how you can engage. As you know, perhaps, the summit came from the proposal in the Common Agenda report, which the Secretary General issued in 2021, and that report was incredibly strong on a vision of multilateralism suited for the present and the future that would harness the power and the energy of local and regional governments, of cities, and of people all around the world. And the phrase that the Secretary General used to describe that kind of multilateralism was networked and inclusive, as well as effective. And what he meant by that was very much the kind of multilateralism that you are all engaged in simply by being in this meeting and in all of the work you do. The Summit of the Future is very much designed to try to kind of move us into a future where that kind of multilateralism is much more recognized and practiced. We know that it's already happening all around the world all the time, but the idea with the summit is in part to enshrine a kind of a much more inclusive networked version of multilateralism than we have to date, recognizing that the problems that we face today, including the many unfulfilled promises of the SDGs, the UN Charter, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but also the many threats and opportunities that we face on the horizon, that we will not manage the risks nor harness the opportunities to the benefit of all if we don't have both the structures of global governance that are much more effective and much more networked and much more inclusive, but also the spirit of global governance where we really restore trust with each other, trust in each other, trust between peoples, trust between generations. And so that was really the vision at the heart of the Common Agenda report that is now that we're now pushing towards the Summit of the Future. So what is the summit exactly? It's really about how we cooperate at the global level, both to deliver on agreed goals and to rise to new challenges and opportunities. The diagnosis at the heart of it is, as I said, that global governance is more important than ever, frankly, existentially important to our survival and to the survival of our planet, but very, very difficult with outdated mechanisms and insufficient levels of trust. So the summit is supposed to be a springboard to a different kind of future. It won't solve all our problems in one go, but hopefully it will produce meaningful change, both in the structures and mechanisms of global governance and also in the spirit of global governance. And one huge part of that is walking the walk on including and harnessing the power of cities and local and regional governments. What will the summit produce? I mean, I think it's important to understand that really it has two tracks. There's a formal track, an intergovernmental track, which will produce a pact for the future that will be intergovernmentally agreed. It will have 5 chapters, and I'll come back to that in 1 second. But it will also have a huge informal mobilization and momentum around the formal intergovernmental process, with many actors involved. And I'll come back to that too. You in this room and on the screen, you have a role on both tracks, both the formal and the informal track. Another way to answer the question of what this summit will produce, though, is really the substance. And that's something that Guy Ryder laid out earlier, but let me just repeat it. what will the world look like the day after this summit? What will be different? What will the headlines say? I mean, what we hope, obviously, from the Secretary General's office is that we will have, and again, it won't solve every problem overnight, but we will at least have taken meaningful steps towards a world with a much more effective collective security system that can prevent, manage, and resolve conflicts in traditional domains, but also in many of the new domains where we see conflict beginning to take hold, where we see weaponization and militarization, none of which we want. It will achieve an equitable, effective financial system that really reflects today's needs and economic realities, and also a step change in financing for development and climate action in particular. It will put in place systems to harness opportunities and manage the risks of digital technologies and artificial intelligence, again, for the benefit of all and not just the benefit of the few, leaving no one behind. It will put in place much stronger foresight and really make concrete the commitments that we have made hundreds of times, including in the UN Charter, to future generations, and really ensure that in future, our big decisions are never made without taking their future impact into account, avoiding the kind of foreseeable harms that we are currently doing to future generations with every decision we make. It will put in place mechanisms for greater expanded youth participation and opportunity at all levels, local, national, and global. And finally, it should, we hope, bring about transformations to key mechanisms of global governance: the Security Council, the General Assembly, the international financial institutions, our human rights machinery, our gender machinery, and many, many more. So how can you engage in all of this? The formal process, as I mentioned, is already underway. That will produce an intergovernmentally agreed pact for the future that will have 5 chapters. Those chapters will be on sustainable development, on peace and security, on science, technology, and digital cooperation, on youth and future generations, and on transforming global governance. And there will also be appended to the pact 2 standalone declarations, one on future generations and one on global digital cooperation. And obviously, local and regional government and cities have a huge amount to say on all of these issues. The process of arriving at that formal pact is already well underway. In fact, just this morning, member states have received a new draft of the pact, and I hate to break it to you, but it's nearly 250 pages long, because we have just received all of the written submissions from all of the member states with what they would like to see in this pact. So the task that faces us right now in New York is to do 2 things. One, to reduce the length of this pact substantially to something that really can be read by people and contain meaningful change, but not overwhelm with detail. But 2, to really raise the level of ambition. And this is where you come in with respect to your own relationships at national level with your own governments, because the task of raising that ambition falls first and foremost to national governments and their delegations here in New York. It won't surprise you to hear that no matter how much we have tried to put in front of member states a true vision of multilateralism that includes many, many actors, including you, there are member states who are uncomfortable with that vision and who insist very strongly on the intergovernmental character of the United Nations. Now, the Secretary General would be the first to say that this is not a binary thing, and that nobody is questioning the role of states at the global level to be key decision makers, but that we have to harness the power and energy of many other actors, and we have to recognize, in fact, how other actors, especially, for instance, private sector, hold huge power over people's lives and need to be seen in global governance. But nonetheless, it's a fraught conversation. So one massive and important way that you can exercise to engage in this process is obviously by engaging in your national conversations, which I hope all of your governments are creating opportunities for, so that you can be part of what the formal negotiations kind of bring into the mix via delegations here in New York. I encourage all of you to kind of review what's coming out in this pact, and to kind of raise your voices for ambition, bring pressure to bear at every opportunity. The co-facilitators of this process, Germany and Namibia, along with the Netherlands and Jamaica and Sweden and Zambia, who are co-facilitating the processes on future generations and digital, respectively, have created many opportunities for other actors beyond just the delegations here in New York to engage in the process. They are holding civil society consultations. They've created opportunities for written submissions. We have actually given to the co-facilitators, Germany and Namibia, the written submission from the advisory group, which contains great language that we hope will make it into the negotiations. Our website, the Summit of the Future website, contains all of the information you need on the opportunities to engage. But the key point, I think, is that all along this process, even though states are the ones making decisions, there are opportunities for other voices to have other actors to have their voices heard. And as I said, there is then also an informal track. In addition to the summit itself, which will take place on the 22nd and 23rd of September, we are working towards a couple of pre-summit action days where we hope to showcase and mobilize partnerships with many actors, and that will take place on the 20th and 21st of September. We're still working on the details, but the whole idea is to kind of showcase the kind of multi-level governance in which you are engaged on many of the issues that are in this kind of on the summit agenda. So, you know, the summit above all is about building momentum for change at all levels from all actors, not just states and not just delegations here in New York. And there are many opportunities to exercise pressure and raise your voices. And we are very happy to kind of continue to engage. And the advisory group is a very good way to do that. To kind of give you opportunities to have your voices heard, and above all, keep doing what you're doing, keep saying what you're saying. You know, this change has to involve all of us, and the summit is just one opportunity among many. Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much, Michelle, for explaining the process, for helping us understand how we need to organize our inputs. As I told you, we are going to have a more informal segment now where you can raise your hands and contribute to the conversation, to what we have heard and to things that you think we are still missing. And before going to that, I would like to discuss just a couple of minutes with my colleague Ana Moreno. You know, last year we started with this partnership to involve journalists in our conversation, and we are working with On-Sitting and the Urban Journalism Institute to develop materials and to develop spaces where conversation can happen in a different way than we have been usually having these conversations. And one of the ways that we thought this could be fostered was by producing together a forecast every year. You saw the first one last year. And the forecast aims at providing a view of what the trends are, what is happening in the world, from the lens and the perspective of the local level, but not from the perspective of one single organization. So it is broader than ourselves, right? You have it on your tables. This is how it looks like. It has all kinds of things. This year, we are giving a lot of importance to artificial intelligence because, let's face it, I mean, it's part of our day-to-day lives, and it will be more and more part of the work of local government. But there is a particular page that I really like, and that is page 18. If you go there, it says dramatic instincts. Learn to recognize the 10 common story types that often make us misinterpret facts and see them as more dramatic, much more dramatic than they are. And I think this is a tool that you need to actually take off this thing and put it in your pockets as local leaders, because it is extremely important to address some of the challenges that we have nowadays with misinformation and lack of trust, that change of narrative that we are engaging. So I want to invite Anna to give us a few thoughts on what this forecast is covering in the super election year that the president was referring to in his speech as well. What else can we find here?
Let's try. It's working. Yeah? Can you hear me? Fantastic. Thank you so much, Emilia. It's a pleasure to be here again for second year. Thank you for the opportunity to work together in this forecast. We always said that it's something that we need. We have a lot of forecasts, economics forecast, politics for politics, for international, for regional, but we were missing that piece, at least even if it's a brief one, about perspective from the local and regional governments. And if it's true that it doesn't cover all the topics, that probably you are missing some of them and you would like to see some more than others. But what we tried to do is to do an overview of the trends that we believe could be relevant for 2024. Last year, if you remember, we started with the perma crisis, the poly crisis, the complex emergencies. They are still here. It's not that because they are not reflected in the forecast 2024, it means that they have disappeared. But we wanted this year to focus on other topics and other trends, and especially to provide the opportunity not only for you, remember that this is also for journalists, and that we are sending this forecast to others to read it, others that are not so familiar than us, with these topics, with our high coalition's impact, with our activities or our projects all over the world. So I think it's also important that you understand that the forecast is not only for us to read what we are doing, it's especially important for continuing increasing the coverage of media, of local and regional government activities, projects, transformations. And I think that's something that I want to highlight in terms of this forecast, because I think we are getting with the second one a lot of traction with a lot of media that they're asking us for this forecast, even in December, in January, and now obviously is published and is out.
Thank you very much, Anna. I mean, one thing that we face as local multilateralists in the type of work that we do is that when we talk with media, they usually want to talk about the very specific local issues. How is transit in this city? If I go to Korea, they will ask me, what is the difference between what you see here and your own country? It is, you know, that transition to more global issues, that doesn't really permeate. And what we are aiming is, with this kind of product, we are trying to enhance that dialogue and to give it to a different dimension, right? So I hope that you can go through it and then maybe comment with us today how you are looking at that, whether there is something that you miss in this forecast, what are the priorities for local and regional governments for 2024, and also engaging in that broader discussion of what is the role of organizations such as UCLG, United Cities and Local Governments, but also other sisters organizations in the multilateral system that we live. What can we do and what can we not do, right? So that is a conversation that is opening up now. I saw the hand of the president that wanted to intervene, but Anna, please, one more comment.
Just really fast, just to, since you will not have time to go through all of it now, I just want to perhaps highlight three quotes that are inside. The first one, it's from Martin Luther King, and it's in page 7, and he's saying, those who love peace must learn to organize as effectively as those who love war. Really important one. And a lot of the things that you can find in the forecast is about that. Peace building, the role of the local governments in that capacity of organizing those who love democracy, peace, human rights. So a lot of the things that you will be transversal will be there. The second quote I would like to highlight is the one in page 8. That is about trust. And you will see in the article that local governments are still the one more trusted, following some polls in some countries. And there is a person from the Local Democracy Research Center in the United Kingdom that defines trust in a way that I thought it was perfect for the forecast and also for the retreat. Defines trust as believing a government will perform a function that results in something you want, even when no one is watching. And that defines quite well local government. You trust local government is doing their work, what you want to happen in the city, even if you are not watching them 24 hours. And the last one, it's about positive news and the need that we have to change narratives and to look for additional spaces and to, if I may, bring our young generations also behind us. And it says, and it's a book that it just was released in January, It's Not the End of the World. And she says, the author, that ours could be the first generation that leaves the environment in a better state than we found it. So all the bad news, she has converted that in a positive approach instead of a negative approach. We could be the first generation that leaves the environment in a better state that we found it. I will say not only the environment, I will say all society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. Very inspiring words. Very inspiring words indeed. Now, the floor is now open, and let us do this exercise that we are starting to do but will continue throughout the week, right? What kind of role does an organization like ours need to play in the context that we are at? So what can we do, and what are the do and the do nots? That's one question. Then, how can we ensure that we protect some of the acquis of our legacy around values that seem to be in question now? No? Our rally for democracy, human rights, for instance. How do we protect that? How do we ensure that the Sustainable Development Goals continues to be an agenda that is worth defending and that does not play into the kind of polarization that we are seeing now, rural and urban. We have been defending the rural-urban symbiosis or continuum, and we still see now, day to day, how those things are put in question. And also, how do we ensure that this organization helps us find our own humanity? Look, if you don't find your own humanity, you are not able to defend another humanity. And I always think that the kind of collective agenda that we have been able to develop under our own pact for the future is very much a dignity agenda, an agenda that is attached to those dreams and aspirations of people. So that's what I would like to hear today, so that it can inspire the concrete work and the hands-on actions that we will need to deploy for you as political leaders. And the floor is now open, and I see you, Co-President. Please take the floor.
Secretary General, the first thing I think I must start on the comment made by a gentleman, apparently appeared to be a UN gentleman. He sent a very good message, which is a message that it should be ringing into our heads. He repeatedly repeated the statement said by the President in his opening and the comment that you have made. Fighting challenges of poverty, hunger, water, and challenges of peace and stability in the world, and which these are very important message. And then I browsed through to the focus, and I think to me the focus, it gives a particular trajectory and the journey that this community of local government has traversed and highlight key important messages. And I think browsing through, it was worthwhile in having some these discussions. But also, I think I took a message that has been sent by an honorable member that has been accepted, and he has life being a councillor, a mayor, being a woman, trained, qualified, emerge in the rural areas, and then emerge and drive a program and the messaging about local government and how the local government should be viewed in the world. If you look into the message that she gave and the gentleman from United Nations, it appears there is a commonality of messaging in terms of packaging the message, what needs to be sent and said in the world. I think to me, SG, Secretary General, I'm a little bit concerned of messages that we're giving. US is saying selectively the war in Israel and the challenges of Ukraine, to me, is a selective choice of words, and it's very dangerous. And it doesn't unite people of the world, because when these wars take place practically on the ground, it affects men and women, children, municipal infrastructure, that after those wars, the municipal infrastructure must be invested and be planted on the ground, on the soil. And it becomes so very unfortunate that in the presentation of the US doesn't pick up this issue. Because where I'm seated, Secretary General, is that it is our duty as organized formation to drive peace, stability, and humanity to be respected in the world. Because ultimately, the people that are attacked by wars, it affects their families. It affects the municipal system in terms of peace, stability, and living together. Now, if we lose that in the program as an organization such as this one, a movement of municipalities, I believe will be of no difference between us and the political parties and political governments that are fighting amongst themselves. And unfortunately, these interests are interests that are informed by financial resources and control of territories. Where do we enter as human beings in these battles? I think to me, it will be very important, the movement of this nature and any other movement that subscribe to Christianity and Bible, that a humankind is important and life, it must be served. And I think local government is at the center of driving that program, of living and making sure that humankind's life is served. So I think to me, at the heart of any discussions and debate, if we are not discussing about that, and I'm sorry as South African Local Government Association, because our interest is that how do we make difference from a person on the street that is looking to me as a government, local, national, regional, to protect that person. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President. Well, that is exactly the kind of a space that we are trying to create, right? The kind of a space, a safe space to discuss what we feel that inclusive, just, and dignified agenda driven by solidarity should be, But in particular, what I would ask you to make the effort to talk about today is the kind of role that we can play also as organized local and regional governments. Where can we stress the support to local governments? Where do our efforts need to be? Is our care agenda enough? Is the equality agenda that we are trying to drive enough? Is the what this morning was brought to the presidency table, the training agenda and the capacity building agenda enough? And how can we ensure that there is no one and no place left behind? So beyond the reading, the different readings of the macro political context that we all have and that do not necessarily unite us, we need to find the agendas that do unite us and that help us reach that target. But I thank you very much, Co-President, for the wise words, and we'll take that into account. President Altai, the floor is yours. And then I have Montevideo and the city of Xi'an as well that have expressed the wish to participate. President, the floor is yours.
Teşekkür ediyorum. Sorry, Nina, please translate. Tabii birçok konu var aslında konuşmamız gereken, eğitimden kadınlara, eşitliği, ama insanların yaşamasını sağlayamazsak bunların hiçbirisini konuşmamızın bir anlamı yok. Onun için öncelikli konumuzun insan hayatı, savaşların engellenmesi ve bu konuda eşit ve adil davranmak olduğunu düşünüyorum. Onun için bu manada Amerika'dan gelen misafirimize bir şeyler söylemezsem kendi insanlığımızı bulamayacağımızı düşünüyorum. Biz dünyanın farklı yerlerinden yerel liderler olarak buradayız. Şehirleri, insanların yaşama hakkını korumak için buradayız. İnsan haklarını ya da mültecilerin hakkını savunmak, devletlerin dış politikadaki tutumlarına göre şekillenmemeli. Bizler insanlık adına söz almalı ve dünyanın her yerinde acı çeken insanların sesi olmalıyız. Yaklaşık 30.000 kadın ve çocuğun katledildiği Gazze'deki olayları Hamas'ın eylemine bir yanıt olarak nitelendirmek çok doğru bir yaklaşım olmaz diye düşünüyorum. Kadın haklarından bahsettik. Nina Hanım'dan bir kadın olarak, bir anne olarak ya da bir anne adayı olarak Uluslararası Adalet Divanı'na verilen dosyadaki fotoğraflara bakmasını istirham ediyorum. Belki vicdanımızın sesini duymamıza faydası olur diye düşünüyorum. Önce insanlık, önce insanların yaşam hakkını korumak en önemli görevimiz. Bunu başaramıyorsak diğer konuları konuşmamızın çok bir anlamı olmadığını düşünüyorum. Teşekkür ederim.
Thank you very much, President. I think human life, human rights come first for sure, and identifying that the role that we have to protect some of those rights is extremely important. But also our capacity to create a community that can find itself in the dialogue that we're trying to build and that can actually facilitate action, also joint actions. There are some unreachable issues that we are aware about, and I don't think there is anything wrong in expressing those issues as long as we try also to focus on what we can do together. Thank you, President. I had Montevideo that wants to take the floor, then the city of Xi'an, and then the mayor of Heidelberg.
Buenas tardes para todas y para todos. Voy a hablar en español me siento más cómodo en términos de poder expresar lo que efectivamente quiero. Para nosotros, desde Montevideo, un poco lo que queríamos transmitir y parte de lo que venimos un poco tratando de llevar adelante, tiene que ver con reafirmar la acción de los propios gobiernos locales. Somos la primera acción de gobierno de cercanía y somos habitualmente las primeras estructuras sobre las cuales la ciudadanía tiene contacto, en particular con cada uno y cada uno de nosotros. Y eso es parte de ese debe y ese, si se quiere también, particularidad, pero mantenimiento de ese espacio cercano a la ciudadanía. Y creo que en eso es lo que nosotros tenemos que buscar la forma de poder hacer las acciones lo mejor posible. De esa manera me parece que tenemos un compromiso importante para tratar de trabajar juntos. Tenemos en esta organización la capacidad de poder tener hoy gobiernos locales de todos los continentes, de todos los lugares, de diferentes tamaños, de diferentes trayectorias, desde ciudades antiquísimas a otras más nuevas, quizás como nosotros, pero tiene que ver con esa posibilidad de hacer acciones conjuntas que nos lleven a pensar dónde tenemos que hacer el centro de esa conjunción. Y creo que el centro de la conjunción tiene que estar en permitirnos plantear un modelo de desarrollo basado en las personas y basado en lo humano. Ahí tenemos el desafío de cómo construir un mundo que lleve a que las personas puedan lograr vivir cada vez mejor. Y ese es parte del desafío que me parece que tenemos como gobiernos locales. Y va más allá también de esas instancias y de esas acciones en lo inmediato. Tiene que ver con pensar cómo llevamos adelante un modelo de desarrollo que sea inclusivo, que ponga a la persona en el centro, que logre generar mecanismos en los cuales todos puedan cubrir las necesidades básicas. Y ni que hablar que cuando hablamos de los conflictos que no solamente son en la lógica de la geopolítica mundial, sino que también tiene que ver con respetar la vida en los procesos propios que cada uno vemos o los flagelos que vemos con algunas inseguridades propias que hacen a nuestras ciudades en la vida cotidiana, sin tener conflictos entre países, sino, por ejemplo, los conflictos que vienen desde procesos básicamente del incremento de la violencia generalizado que vivimos en nuestras cotidianidades. Violencias que se representan y que se profundizan en algunos colectivos. En el caso de los sesgos o discriminaciones con minorías, con las mujeres, con las disidencias, con los factores étnico-raciales, con los pobres. Y eso es parte también de lo que nosotros tenemos que trabajar fuertemente para lograr cambiar esas consideraciones. Y eso es parte, me parece, de lo que nosotros como gobiernos locales tenemos que llevar adelante. Que tenemos que generar acciones de cooperación que nos permitan aunar buenas prácticas, que nos permitan llevar adelante proyectos conjuntos de inversiones, de cooperación técnica, de cooperación financiera, que nos puedan posibilitar llevar adelante y sacar a aquellos que vienen excluidos por la propia lógica del sistema. Creo que en eso está el deber de nosotros como gobiernos, de poder llevar adelante una mejor condición de vida, una mejor condición para que todas y todas puedan efectivamente sentirse plenos y plenas en este mundo y hacer de esto un modelo de desarrollo. Creo que ahí tenemos el desafío como gobiernos locales, pegado a la gente, con la gente y construyendo a partir de eso. Muchísimas gracias.
Muchas gracias por ese importante mensaje de Montevideo. Hay que recordar que Montevideo va a ser la sede de nuestro foro de ciudades de paz y que para nosotros la agenda de paz no es solamente una agenda de ausencia de guerra, sino de construcciones de bloques de paz. Efectivamente, se trata de los conflictos urbanos, pero también de crear un tejido comunitario para comprender el mundo, para saber leer el mundo. Muy importante ese mensaje y esperamos trabajar hacia el foro de paz en Montevideo. Y ahora tenemos una intervención de Sian. He visto después, I have seen Heidelberg, Utrecht and Kisumu. Sian.
各位同事，大家下午好。 我是西安市政府副秘书长、研究室主任刘新社，非常高兴在美丽的巴塞罗那和大家相聚。首先，我谨代表我们西安市的市长叶牛平先生和西安市代表团成员，在中国龙年新春佳节之际，向大家致以美好的祝福。刚才艾米莉亚秘书长提到要借助科技力量和创新手段，提升城市政府的治理能力。借此机会，我围绕数字驱动城市高质量发展主题分享一些认识。当前，随着信息技术的不断进步和互联网的发展，数字化发展已经成为未来发展的一个大趋势。数字化不仅是一场技术革命，更是一场治理变革，涉及到城市工作的方方面面，与城地组织未来公约的实践密不可分。为了推动全球城市数字领域的合作，促进各成员城市开展数字城市建设，共享数字化带来的机遇，我们提议在世界城地组织框架下创设以数字驱动城市高质量发展为主题的西安全球城市数字贡献奖。我们的考虑，一个是以数字化为突破，推动经济高质量发展。当前全球经济增长缓慢，传统模式已难以支撑经济快速发展，迫切需要寻求新的增长点。数字作为新型生产要素，能够解放和发展生产力，提高劳动效率，是一种新质生产力，对城市经济的影响是全方位、系统化、立体的，能够催生一批新经济、新业态、新模式、新场景，能够带动城市经济快速发展。第二考虑是以数字化为手段，实施城市高效能治理。数字在提高生产效率的同时，也能够很大程度地提升城市治理的效能，尤其是大型城市，越来越需要通过数字化手段来进行高效管理。比如，在刚刚过去的我们传统春节的这个8天的假期里面啊，西安几大重点的景区总共接待的游客超过1600万人。这个特别是著名的景区大唐不夜城，每天接待的游客就达到了65万人次以上。针对这个大游客量，我们通过数字化手段进行预测、监测、限流分流，有效地防止了踩踏、拥挤等事件，确保了这个游客玩得开心、游得安全。第三个考虑是以数字化为契机，创造市民的高品质生活。数字化不仅会加速城市的发展，同样也能让市民生活更方便、更快捷，增加城市的温度。比如这个各类电子服务平台都是24小时服务，不受时间限制，能够最大程度地满足消费者的需求。但同时也要看到，在城市数字化转型的过程中，年轻人适应并引领了新的生活方式，可对于老年人来说，却很难逾越这个数字鸿沟。西安市政府在大力推动数字转型、运用数字技术优化公共服务的同时，特别关注数字弱势群体，做好老年人使用数字产品的技能培训，使数字化服务惠及整个社会群体，真正做到了在数字化的进程上一个都不能少。最后，我希望在新的一年里，大家能够携起手来，为推动联合国可持续发展目标的本地化做出积极贡献。在这里，我也代表叶牛平市长诚挚邀请大家在方便的时候到我们西安做客访问，一同探讨城市的合作与发展。谢谢大家。
Thank you very much. Well, I have been to Xi'an recently, just before Christmas, and it was an unforgettable experience. I really do hope that many of our members will have the opportunity to visit as well. I thank you also for that very concrete proposal, President. We are taking note of this to create this award around digital innovation. And just in a few minutes, we will see the presentation of actually a very important research that the city of Bilbao always does for UCLG on smart cities. And of course, we also have a very strong collaboration with the exhibition of the Smart City Conference that many of you have attended. So I think it will be important to see the connection between those dots. And thank you very much for that concrete proposal. Mayor, I see you have a microphone. The floor is yours.
Yeah, many thanks, Emilia. First of all, I would like to say many thanks for the invitation. I think it's a great chance for us all to meet here on the international level, not only as mayors, as the only organization who's speaking for citizens, in my opinion. So when we are standing up here, we have all the responsibility to speak for an organization. Like I'm here speaking for the German cities. This is about 80 million people who are living in Germany, and what we are believing in is that if cities taking over the responsibility for what we are talking about, water resources, waste management, sewage, energy, so of all those things which we need to set up a secure situation for the citizens, a safe situation, a healthy situation for the citizens, we have to be empowered. And this is not always the case. If I'm listening to Nina, it's exactly what we are trying to do over the last decades, bringing cities together. But this was not the case in the past. I made a study about 25 years ago about the American responsibilities of cities with the EPA and DOE, and the responsibility was thinking about coloring their roofs with white paintings to reduce the solar radiation. So very weak programs. Today, if I'm talking to those colleagues in the United States, they take over the responsibility. They are also fighting sometimes against state departments about the belief in, for example, nuclear and not energy-saving programs. So there is a totally different behavior of those who are directly linked to the citizens and those who are responsible sometimes on the state level. I don't want to be misunderstood. We need both sides, but we have to empower, in my opinion, those who are responsible, who are directly elected, and those people are we, the mayors, the lady mayors, who are elected for a period of time, who get the power, and then they have to do something for their citizens. And I think if we think with the UCLG empowerment program about our potential to do this in Africa, in the United States, in South America, in Europe, in China, in Korea, in Japan, I think we can do a really great change of mind in the field of getting people more empowered, get a direct link to the state level, get a direct link to the supranational level. And if we do so, I think we are really creating a better world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your intervention has reminded me a little bit of our DNA, how we came to be, why this movement was created, but also how it evolved. And the history of this movement has always been linked with very tragic circumstances of humanity, right? The first conference was at the verge of the First World War, when we thought we had overcome the war. We thought in 1913 there would be no war, but it came, right? And then the next big lap of this movement was after the Second World War, when we started to play a very strong role in sister cities, in twinning. You know, all these signs that you see across Europe. Europe was also divided back then, and there was a lot of mending to do. So I do think that we need to work with local government officials, with political representatives, to create this narrative and this community that can be transformative and embrace the opportunities that this transforming world is giving to us. So I'm very grateful for that perspective, because sometimes we forget actually where we come from, and I think it's useful to remind ourselves of the critical experiences that we have gone through together and that have shaped the way that we are. So I had seen the mayor of Utrecht, also the president of VNG, of BNG in the Netherlands.
Yes, thank you, Amelia. Well, I have to say I feel a bit uncomfortable being here now at the moment, and that is because of the way the discussion was heading. The plenary has asked us to talk about the power that unites us. And I actually feel that sometimes we are more looking into the division than the unification. And especially for us as mayors, we have a role in uniting our citizens. And I thought that the idea of the president to look at things as a mother is really great. I'm a mother of 3. And actually, every child, for instance, at this moment, which dies in the Middle East, is one child too many. And for me as a mother, actually it doesn't make a difference whether it's an Israeli child or a Palestinian child. I weep for both of them. So therefore, I would like to ask us all. Now, my message actually is this. If we want, in a very unstable world, that peace will be the next stage, then I firmly believe that the local governments really can make the change. But it starts also with our own behavior. So if we are down here at this moment, it would help if we would look into the other and see what is the thing that combines us, that unites us, instead of looking for words that divides us. And if we could do that, that would be actually a good start. And then we could have this better discussion. And also collaboration with, for instance, national governments is something that we could do. So when the State Department of the United States says to us that we could maybe collaborate with the American mayors, since not so many of them are here, then I would say that is really a great offer, and try to get them also on board. Because if we would do so and start here at the local level, then we could really make the change. And we're not the Security Council of the UN, but that we should do it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mayor of Utrecht, and also a member of the advisory group of the United Nations Secretary General. I guess that kind of capacity to collaborate and to continue working together and to build is one that you can't stop working on, you know? It's not a given. You don't do it once and then you go to rest. And I know this, believe me. It doesn't happen in a diverse organization as this one. But I think the premise that we need to look for that unites us is extremely important. So grateful for those remarks. And I'm going now to you, the Governor of Kisumu, also a member of the advisory group.
Thank you very much, Madam, for giving me this opportunity to make a very small contribution. I was very impressed, in fact, moved by your quotation of Martin Luther King, that those who love peace must learn to organize as effectively as those who love war. It reminds me of mayors and heads of local authorities in eastern DRC, or in Somalia, or in Ethiopia, or some of these states in West Africa, which are failing, as it were. the other saying, again, that was mentioned this afternoon, is that it is not just the road to, no, it's not just the road we are interested in. It is the development it engenders. In some of these parts of the world, like Eastern DRC, Somalia, parts of Ethiopia, cities and urban areas are in recession because of conflict. And we can't understand this conflict unless we understand their causes. So as we assemble the United Nations, representing cities and urban centers which are stable and prosperous, which have built roads that lead to development, I think we should create space for discussing what we need to do about areas where cities and urban areas are failing because of conflict and so on. Because it is our responsibility, those of us who love peace, to organize more effectively than those who love war. And also, one of the things I was saying this afternoon is to raise a level of ambition. Witnessing or harnessing the power and energy of other actors. You know, there's a lot of energy and power among people who are involved in reconstructing their cities because of war, because of conflict, and they need support. So I was thinking that one of the things we should do at the UN really is to create a forum for representatives of cities and urban areas in areas where cities and urban areas are in recession due to conflict or underdevelopment, and to understand where those conflicts come from. One last word I must say, if you look at the DRC, Eastern DRC, for example, for a long time since independence, some of those cities have not seen stability. It is mainly because of conflict for access to mineral resources in those areas. Some of these extractors of mineral resources thrive better under conflict than under stability. And this has been proven by recent studies on the Congo as a whole. So I was proposing that as part of our responsibility as UCLG is to create space for just examining and discussing how we can help, how we can support the regrowth of cities and urban areas by dealing with the issue of conflict that lead to the failure of urban life. And by the way, when urban life fails, a lot of people escape to the rural areas where, again, life is very difficult. In order to know this, you should visit northern Uganda, for example, where they're now busy reconstructing rural society because people from urban areas who went there after conflicts and wars now need to find a place to feel at home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another very important perspective indeed, ensuring the success of the models that allows for people to have a dignified life, and that is also part of our challenge. I mean, if you listen closely, there are many issues that we are agreeing about, but we knew that we had to take a stock in this plenary. And to be able to articulate all of the issues that sometimes also divide us. There is no way to construct together if we don't identify the gaps that we need to bridge, right? Co-President Bravanovic, I have seen Vice President Paola Pavon. I am going to start to wrap up here unless there is another emergency, because we have a couple of announcements. I would like to go to a video with a message of peace as well from The Hague, and a couple of other things, and we are really late. But it is the moment to have this discussion, so I'm very grateful for your patience. Co-President Bravanovic.
Thank you very much, Emilia, and no doubt a very powerful conversation by all of us in the room, and an important conversation in this opening plenary as we reflect on the title of the plenary, which is the power that unites us. And I think there is no doubt that we are living in a world with very complex geopolitical realities that each of us are dealing with and facing in very different and unique ways. And I think we're feeling that come out in the discussion and very much in the soul and passion that the people in the room have. You know, we reference, and I think it was a strong quote, the reference from Martin Luther King Jr. about those who love peace must learn to organize as effectively as those who love war. But I'm going to actually go to another person, and that was Martin Luther King Jr.'s wife, Coretta Scott King, who was also quoted as saying, and usually we need to go to a strong woman to actually remind us and to reflect on some issues. And she said, it doesn't matter how strong your opinions are, if you don't use your power for positive change, you are indeed part of the problem. And I say that because indeed, our role as civic leaders, our role as local government leaders is to be that power of change in a world that is increasingly complex, in a world where many things are not only out of our control, but certainly out of the control of the citizens that we represent. And yet the challenges that our world is facing are most directly impacting cities and communities around the world, whether they're as a result of an issue like climate change, whether they're a result of issues like economics, or whether they're a result of issues like global conflict. And so, you know, when we think about that, we need to think about what is the role that we can play in terms of both voicing those issues, but more importantly, the role that we need to play in terms of the challenges that cities face within each of our national constructs of national governments. And the reality is, while each of our stories are very different and unique, the challenges that cities in the world are facing are often the result of fiscal and legal frameworks that have been around for far too long, that have been around since the 18th or 19th century, but don't recognize that cities today are dealing with 21st century problems and complexities. And so recognizing that we are the order or sphere of government that serves residents each and every day, from the moment that they wake up to the moment they go to bed at night, and often throughout the night as well, everything from the provision of water, and again, different jurisdictions, different responsibilities, but water, electricity, parks, libraries, fire, police, ambulance, planning, roads, I can go on and on. The reality is that we need to speak with one voice, be that united voice to help ensure that, in fact, we can deal with these issues. This is the same reality when there is an impact of a global conflict. It's our municipal services that ultimately end up being the first ones to deal with those issues. Fire services, temporary shelter, displaced individuals, the list goes on. And so I really encourage and challenge us to focus, not just today, but in our individual conversations tonight and in the coming days, as well as in the sessions, on the ties that bind us as humanity versus those that divide us. And if we can do that, I think we can truly demonstrate what the power of the local government movement is in each and every corner of the world. Thank you very much, Amelia.
Thank you very much, Co-President. Thank you very much. Also, I think your call is a call also to look back to the pact that we have developed together. The Pact for the Future of Humanity that we adopted, the Daejeon Declaration, contains those milestones, those things that unite us and that allow us to deliver new type of services, to guarantee a better life for everyone. I think that the path towards the Pact for the Future of Humanity that we drafted was a pact in systemic thinking, right? We were trying to deal with abstract things that would allow us to act, concretely, and that would enable us to connect the dots. I think that the moment that we are at, and it's something that I am inviting the technical people that are remaining for the rest of the week, our partners, and some of the politicians that are going to be throughout Friday, is to challenge ourselves now to go from that kind of systemic thinking to a more design thinking, which is a much more human-driven, much more creative. I think we are at that moment where we have those tools, we have identified the gaps, we have identified the challenges, and we need to be creative now to find solutions to changing questions. So let us keep this in mind for the exercises that are coming up tomorrow and the day after. Vice President Pavón, a usted la palabra.
Gracias, querida Emilia. Qué alegría poder compartir después de Konya con muchos de ustedes, y creo que estamos cumpliendo el objetivo del retiro. El objetivo del retiro es hacer un pare y poder pensar y replantearnos las metas que tenemos desde nuestro rol como gobiernos locales. Venimos de latitudes diferentes, distintas, por lo tanto los problemas son distintos, son diversos. En algunos casos, crisis económica, crimen organizado, terrorismo, conflictos internos, guerras, cambio climático. Pero después de escuchar varias de las intervenciones, o casi todas las intervenciones, creo que hay un punto común. Y el punto común es cuidar la vida. Dependiendo de cada uno de los espacios en los que vengamos, la prioridad es cuidar la vida de las mujeres donde se viven distintas violencias, cuidar la vida de los menos favorecidos en los conflictos internos y externos, porque los alcaldes, los gobernadores, los prefectos, las prefectas, nos vemos abocados de una manera práctica a enfrentar la realidad. A enfrentar la realidad en un conflicto armado, en un conflicto interno, porque tenemos que enfrentar lo que vive el día a día el ciudadano desde la prestación de los servicios, y eso nos rebasa nuestra forma política, nuestra forma ideológica, nuestras creencias religiosas. Estamos abocados a, de primera línea, atender las emergencias de la gente. Y creo que ese tiene que ser el punto de unidad en este debate. ¿Cómo logramos colocar el cuidado de la vida desde los distintos conflictos, desde las distintas latitudes y desde las diferentes competencias que tenemos cada uno de los gobiernos? Cuidar la vida. Ese es un punto de enlace, un punto común. Y el segundo creo que tiene que ver también con la naturaleza. No importa en qué latitud del mundo estemos, el cambio climático empieza a afectarnos. Falta de agua, sequía, exceso de agua, mucha lluvia. Es decir, el cambio climático empieza a expresarse de distintas maneras, y también nos vemos abocados a enfrentar esto. Estas son consecuencias de la forma en que los modelos de desarrollo y los estados enfrentan la administración de los recursos, pero finalmente nosotros nos vemos abocados a la emergencia, y eso obliga a que también tengamos un rol determinante. Creo que estos puntos de encuentro son los que nos deben reflexionar para lograr colocar en lo que veíamos en el punto anterior va a ser la agenda de este año. Distintos encuentros. Encuentros por el cambio climático, encuentros sobre el tema del agua, encuentros de cómo procesar las migraciones y la movilidad humana en distintas partes del mundo. Esos son los puntos que nos motivan a seguir insistiendo en que los gobiernos locales jugamos un rol determinante. Hay un nuevo escenario mundial, y en ese escenario mundial la voz de los gobiernos locales tiene que escucharse, y por eso es tan importante este equipo asesor en Naciones Unidas, este equipo asesor que logra colocar el rol de los gobiernos locales en esta lógica y en este orden mundial. Y también, obviamente, lo que decía Emilia hace un momento, el pacto para el futuro. ¿Cómo logramos ser una voz fuerte, una voz que oriente hacia dónde debe ir ese pacto para el futuro? Así que creo que esos son los puntos que nos juntan y sobre eso reflexionar esta semana, que será una semana muy importante para el mundo, porque aquí estamos representando a distintas latitudes y obviamente en algo que nos junta. Nosotros estamos atendiendo a nuestros ciudadanos de manera directa y ese es un enorme privilegio. Gracias, querida Emilia.
Muchísimas gracias, Presidenta. Yo creo que la agenda que se ha venido discutiendo esta tarde es una agenda que ratifica puntos muy importantes. También podrían, o sea, no me ha sorprendido la discusión de hoy. No me ha sorprendido. Sabíamos que estos temas iban a salir y que las dificultades que tenemos en aunar visiones con respecto a los conflictos, pero no sobre todo cómo les definimos a esos conflictos, son muy, muy importantes. O sea que la discusión no me ha sorprendido, pero sí que siento una gran alegría, de verdad, una profunda tranquilidad y alegría. Porque también esta tarde podría haber sucedido otra cosa. Y es esta tarde ustedes podrían haber questioned the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, as a common framework for work. You could have done that. There are people in your streets that are demonstrating against the SDGs as we speak. You could have done that. There could have been voices saying that we should not be focusing on human rights. There could have been voices saying that democracy, and in particular local democracy, is not that important anymore because after all, you know, democracy is not that efficient. That narrative is gaining a space, and none of that happened here this afternoon. You have confirmed a very, very important agenda, the agenda of care, of dignity, of equality, of local democracy, of human rights. So I feel that these are very, very strong bases for the discussions that we are going to have the rest of the week. And it gives us, the technical teams that are working for you, the tools to work together and to develop new mechanisms to be more efficient, to scale up the vision that we have been defending through our exercise with the Pact for the Future. So in order to close a bit the cycle, there are 3 more things that are going to happen. They are all going to be very quick. But we want to close the cycle, and I would like Co-President Van Zanen, I think we first show the video, and then I invite you to speak, right? So we are going to see where our World Council is going next. We have in April the Executive Bureau in San Jose, and then we want you to watch this.
Dear colleagues, dear friends, I'm very pleased to invite you to my hometown, The Hague, in the Netherlands, for the UCLG World Council. This year is a special year for The Hague, as we celebrate 125 years as the International City of Peace and Justice. It's an honor and of special significance that we are able to host the World Council of UCLG, United Cities and Local Governments, during this anniversary. As you know, a vibrant local democracy is a key aspect of a peaceful and just society. I look forward to explore together how we can strengthen our local democracies through local cooperation and learning from each other. Welcome to The Hague, the international city of peace and justice.
I would just like to add a few words because the movie and the images are clear. It is an honor for me to have you in October in The Hague, because I really believe that what we're doing here is worthwhile. I think the world needs our working together. The world needs, you know, the power that unites us. I think it is being gentle to the family that UCLG also is, and try to import the examples of peace instead of importing the world's conflicts that are here. No, we should export peace. And I really hope that the coming week, all our people who are gathering here, all our partners, and of course also the political leaders, will try to inspire each other to continue that very, very important work. Thank you very much.
Very much. Indeed, if we want that seat at the global table, we will need to do different things than the ones that are occupying the seats nowadays, right? We need to make a difference. So thank you very much for that. And now for that very important special moment, we are going to be launching here today the presentation of our Smart City study. A very important endeavor that we have been undertaking with the city of Bilbao. Eider, I invite you to take the floor. And it will be Eider Inunciaga Serna, the Counselor for Euskera and Participatory Democracy, Agenda 2030, and International Affairs of the city of Bilbao, that will do the presentation. You see, you have music because it's important work. You even have lights. There you go. Eider, the floor is yours.
Very digital indeed. Well, Mr. President, Emilia, local authorities, colleagues and friends, thank you very much for giving us the honor to share the result of our community of practice on digital cities here today with you all. The city of Bilbao leads this community, a space where local governments from all over the world share knowledge, experiences, and best practices on the use of digital technologies to improve the quality of the life of citizens. Since its creation in 2005, 4 studies on digital cities have been published. In 2023, and in line with the UCLG's Pact for the Future, the study focuses on people, planet, and governance to examine the SDGs from a local perspective. From this angle, the study answers the following question: how do we, as smart cities, as innovation ecosystems, contribute to the achievement of the SDGs? And we do this by focusing on 4 objectives. 1, giving visibility to the current situation and main trends in the field of smart cities. Second one, showcase success stories and best practices to further develop the smart city concept as an ecosystem that contributes to achieving the SDGs. Identifying barriers and enablers, and linking good practices displayed to each of the SDGs. The study is structured around 6 axes that constitute the concept of smart cities. Within these axes, trends and good practices are identified to then analyze how these initiatives contribute to the SDGs. I'm not going to go into them, but just for you to know, these axes are smart economy, new mobility, environment, digital citizenship, quality of life, and smart governance. To conclude, I would like to highlight some statements. As Emilia Said has stated in several occasions, our Secretary General, it is very important to build inclusive and smart cities through the efficient delivery of public services, equitable access to technology, and consideration of digital rights. In the context of a technological transition, smart cities prioritize well-being, digital rights, sustainability, and livability, aligning with the Pact for the Future of Humanity. The evolution towards smart cities requires participatory approaches and the collaboration of public-private actors, where local governments play a key role as innovation-driven ecosystems. Indeed, this study identifies the specific initiatives and areas of action that smart cities are working on to address this challenge. The study also shows that smart city projects focus mainly on smart economy and environment, while quality of life is a less addressed area. So finally, I would really like to acknowledge and thank all the cities participating in the study, which have contributed with their initiatives, who have enriched our knowledge and the exchange of good practices. I would also like to invite you all here to visit our new website, the website of the Community of Practice, where you can download this study, check the repository of good practices, and subscribe to the newsletter. I really expect that this study will be a very practical point of view for all of you to implement in your cities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now another issue that unites us, should unite us, I hope, as well, and that is sport. And actually, it is thanks to our president, Altai, that we have been able to develop this partnership with Access International, and we are very happy to have them with us today. We are signing our MOU. Gianfrancesco Lupatelli, the president and founder of Access, is here with us. I'm so pleased that you are joining us. We're going to sign now. President, I would invite you to come over as well so that you are part of that picture. And as we are facing the Olympic year, I cannot think of a better thing to do than to start working on inclusive sports everywhere. Gianfrancesco, let us. See you tomorrow, a very exciting day of the Global Task Force annual meeting. You are welcome to start a bit later because we have a principals-only meeting starting from 10 to 11, and then we have an inclusive day where everyone can participate, looking at the international agendas. We will tell you more about the rest of the retreat tomorrow. Have a very nice evening. Enjoy, and thank you very much for being with us.